Hello everyone, and welcome back to Races of the Four, my continuing project where I try and install some kind of fantasy-style race system into Minecraft using command blocks. So last time we met the four races, and I showed you what they're all about and what they can do, some of what they can do. I don't recall if I showed them like in their entirety, but not much has changed in that regard. But over here we have the next section, and this is sort of the aesthetic little tricks. So for example, with the SR, I have made them sparkle as long as they're nearly full health. I've got the carbon chuckling every now and then. I suppose I should just show these off, shouldn't I? So I've cleared my race at the moment. I've changed over the way the races work, so that there is now a scoreboard objective called Race, which is not a racist thing at all, I swear, which sets your score in that to a specific number, and that is what all of the mechanics are now functioning on. I'll show exactly how in a moment. So let's see, we've got the carbon there, and we shall start up this timer. Now it's currently working on a random chance that this will actually succeed. There we go, that was the carbon chuckling. It also is targeting a random player with the carbon qualities, but I'm the only person around with them, so it's naturally defaulting to me. So the carbon occasionally use that little villager haggling sound at high pitch. And if I switch up to there, ever so often the SR will sparkle if they are at near full health, using the same principle I used last time for the carbon's invisibility and being wet. The carbon, I should also spec, this particular thing also takes into account their health, so that when they are invisible they don't start chuckling. That seems that I figured that would be too significant for it to not just massively handicap their sneaking around a bit. Okay, so next on that list we have the Ocrist, and this guy's big thing is that occasionally they will drop a little item like that. It's a leaf or a sapling or a bit of bush, and it's specifically coded so that you can't pick it up afterwards. You can see if I stand right here, I'm not picking it up at all. But it will get caught by hoppers. So I gave them 3 of those to sort of vary it up, so they weren't just always dropping leaves or always dropping saplings. But then I thought, maybe if one of them standing on a hopper gives them an infinite supply of, like, effectively seeds and saplings, maybe that's a little overpowered. So I actually have a second version over here, which is a lot closer to what the SR use, but I'll let you decide exactly whether it's the best option. The redstone is connecting a bit weird today, because I'm presently in snapshot 14W17A, where that is causing some issues. But this alternative one is that every so often they'll sort of just shake off some debris, some like plant-like material, which is actually a melon block particle from when you're breaking it. So if that triggers again, please and thank yous. And I'll just trigger that up there. Okay. So if I keep triggering this, you can see it occasionally popping into my screen, but it's not very intrusive, and it doesn't give them any distinct gameplay advantages. These are purely meant to be aesthetic kind of changes. So let me know if you think that one is better than these 3. I'm not really certain if these 3 with the grass, the sapling, and the bush or whatever specifically constitutes a significant gameplay reward, or advantage rather, but this would be a way of sort of keeping that without having to go through that. So a few of you were wondering exactly how I was working this. Let me just change over to Denali, who do not as yet have a ability assigned to them. So this is a fairly standard sort of randomizer setup. So inside, if I just turn this off, inside of this hopper, upwards facing, there are 5 items. Now these 4 items, the comparator, the redstone, the dropper, and the hopper, all stack up to 64 items. The stone sword doesn't stack at all. It can only help, it fills one entire slot of an inventory entirely by one of itself. Now the hopper has 5 slots, and it is pointing straight back down into the hopper, into the dropper. So when the dropper gets when the dropper gets triggered, it ejects one of these 5 items randomly selected into the hopper, very briefly. This comparator is then getting the degree of how full this hopper is, and outputting it as a redstone signal. When any of the 4 are in here, then it doesn't really go past this second piece. If the sword is in here, then effectively 1/5, 20% of this hopper is already full, so the power comes all the way out here, and it triggers the command block. So that's just how that quick bit works. This is a quick little standard kind of design of a hopper timer that I like to use a lot, and it's also very, very versatile. Currently it's only got the 2 lamps in here. I could remove it to make this clock faster, or I could add more to make it slower. But then how am I actually targeting these effects? So, in here is the particle effect. This is very similar to how the addon do it. So it's got /particle, and then the name of the particle. If you go to the Minecraft wiki, you can find out a big long list of particles. So this is block crack for when you're breaking something. It is a melon block with data value 0, and those tilde are relative positions. So that's relative to whatever we're targeting it to. A little bit of an offset just to make it spawn in the right place. Speed or time, like the rate at which the particle dissipates. The number of times to apply the particle, and this is where it gets interesting. So right at the end of this command, in the same way as the effects, is who do I do this to? Now the @r tells us that this is being done to a random player who meets the following conditions. That's what the square brackets are, conditions. So we are asking for a player with a score in race of at least 20, and whose score is at most 20. So this kind of means that the only race that has a score of 20 should be members of the Ocrist. So that means that this must be exactly 20. So it's only targeting Ocrist. Now if we move along to the Korribin, let's see, score race equals 10, they're the lowest one, so I don't bother including min. Score HP minimum 4, which means their health must be at least 4, which is higher than when their invisibility kicks in. So consequently, anyone who is invisible is excluded from this listing. It therefore means that they can only emit their little chuckle noise when they are visible, when they are not trying to be all sneaky or flee from a scene. And then the Asar have a similar thing, so it's score race 30, score race min equals 30, score HP minimum 17, so if they're low health, they're not still sparkling. It's more sort of a measure of, oh hey, I'm feeling absolutely grand right now, I'm going to give off a little bit of a sheen. As opposed to a Michael sheen, but anyways, or a Charlie sheen. But anyways, that is the currently existing effects, and the one that I'm not entirely positive on. So now, we are going to try and get one put together for the one race here that doesn't have one as yet, which is the Denali. Now I have an idea for the Denali, but I'm not 100% certain how to do it, or rather how to precisely work it. So what we need is something that is unique to the Denali, or something that is specific to the Denali, that is one of their most known traits, and the Denali are very good miners. So I figure something related to how much stone they have recently mined would be a good idea. So we need, for that, some way of tracking how much stone an individual dwarf or Denali, I'm going to be calling them both at this point, has mined, so that they can't just stand around and get this kind of benefit. Because the Denali are more or less, they have like no combat advantages. Like they have night vision when they're underground, but that's about it. And when they're underground, they're mostly mining. When they're above ground, they're bad at mining. They don't have any combat beneficence, like jump boost, combat advantage, speed, invisibility, combat advantage, Ocrist, strength, combat advantage. The Denali don't have any kind of advantage like that. So maybe we should focus on something a bit more economic. So, what we are going to do is we're going to target Denali miners, and after they've triggered some kind of rare condition, so rare condition trigger, we are going to reward them with, say, a bit of iron, or maybe a diamond ore block. That sounds like it would be good. So let's say give him a diamond ore block. Just say ore block. No, good enough. I can add more if I want. So this is going to be a little bit more complex than these, because if they meet the conditions, we need to do something that will prevent them from meeting the conditions the next time it gets checked. Because otherwise, they will just be bombarded with diamond ore blocks as soon as they've dug so much. So, Denali miners, we need to do that first, so for that we're going to need a command block which specifically targets Denali. So, /give, let's just see, what can we give them? Let's go with, because there's gold ore, let's go with diamond ore, or maybe gold ore would be good, or we could go iron ore as a special little bonus. Iron, we'll use iron for the time being, so that's iron underscore ore, /give iron underscore ore as our start. And let's see, it's this just executes something, so we need to actually like spin along here. Summon, that summons an item. We want to be giving items, so let me see if I remember exactly the context for this. /give player item amount data. Okay, so we need to put in our target here. We want a random Denali. We don't want it to be all of them. We don't want it to be the nearest, because this is an open map kind of thing, so the Denali could be vast miles apart and very far away from where this command block is. So @r for targeting random player, a singular random player per execution, and we want their score race to be 40 to ensure that we are only targeting Denali. So that targets Denali so far. And now we need to target miners. Specifically, we're looking at stone. Stone should be the interesting thing. So for that, we are going to need a new objective. So /scoreboard objectives list. Those are all of the objectives that we presently have: hunger, HP, swim, and race. And we need to add a new one. So we shall take a look at that. Add, so we will call it miner, and it can be mine block dot minecraft dot stone, and we'll call it miner. Okay. So what that means is that we have attached an objective to the achievement variable of how many blocks of Minecraft stone, let's just say default stone, this person has mined. So if I go into my statistic, my achievement, my statistics, there we are, then blocks, there it is, times mined. Now, of course, for me, it's basically 0 on everything, but the one that we're looking at here, that we've got it attached to, is up here. So I have used stone 738 times, I haven't mined it at all, but that's what we're looking at. So now, let's see, scoreboard, objectives, set display, I think it is. Doop-a-doop-a-doo. Yes. Sidebar, miner. Okay, now I don't have anything on that, so let me see if I can provoke it. No. Doop-a-doop-doop. Doop-a-doop. That'll do. Okay, and give me a pickaxe. Anyone will do, but that looks pretty cool. Game mode 0. So if I dig this out, okay, miner score 1. And if I dig another one out, it automatically updates. I don't have to keep track of it like I am with the hunger over there. So now we have a way of keeping track of how many blocks of stone any specific Denali has actually gotten through. So let us say score race min, I will score miner min equals, let's go with 30. 30 sounds like a good number. So if they mine, well, it's just for purposes of testing, I'll put that to 5, just because it'll take me ages to mine 30 blocks for you guys. Score miner min equals 5. So this will now only target Denali with a score in miner of 5 at least. So if I trigger that, player cannot be found. No one exists like that, because I only have a score of 2. So let's go to that. Dig through these. Okay, and I've now got a score of 7. And if I put this down, I have gained an iron ore block. Okay, now, the thing that we need, so that handles our targeting Denali miners. We can increase the rarity of the condition trigger by increasing the number of stone blocks you have to mine. And we've got the rewarded ore block. Now I can like run this up a few different times for it to be different ore blocks. So say I could have them get gold if they're particularly high on the listings. I could give them coal if they're lower. If I want it to be really rare, because I can adjust how rarely these signals pop out based on how many stacking items are in here. So for example, we've presently got four stacking items and 1 non-stacking item. If I expand that out, it could be a 1 in 9, and I could even make it even less likely to trigger because I just need to chain them more or less. So I can, if I wanted to, I could make it diamond. It would just need to be very, very rare. But what needs to be happening now is that every time this command block either every time that command block gets triggered or every time the signal could potentially go to these command blocks, once that signal is finished working, we need to reset stat miner. So that is to be done with another effect. So /scoreboard players reset everyone in the Denali. So score race min equals 40, score race equals 40, and we need it to reset their score in minor. So if I do that, if I have this right, which is entirely possible, I'm completely wrong, then when I trigger this, my score on the right hand side there, minor, should disappear. There we go. So reset score minor of player lying at Bedmont. So whenever we potentially trigger one of these, we want to reset that, and really, the higher the minimum score for mining of the blocks, the longer we want the timer to be, to actually give them the chance to get that high. And then we just want to hook this up to a randomizer, so that this will trigger and randomly select someone to give it to. So what this means is that you can, it would be advantageous for the Denali to keep mining because they'll get more materials. Well, slightly more materials than everyone else. But they have to mine stone, so they can't just stand next to a cobblestone generator. A stone generator might work, but they're going to need to keep getting tools, which means they'll need more wood, which means they're better off talking to the Ochrist for that, even though they'll be the ones getting the smeltables and whatnot. And because it's an ore block, like for example, you have to smelt these. It's not a free thing, so they don't get by purely by mining. But they are very, very good at mining, especially since they get the haste buff when they're underground, so they can mine things faster. So that is sort of how I go about designing these little mechanics. To say this one's a lot more like useful and practical. These are mostly entirely aesthetic. Although I suppose the sparkling and the chuckling is a little disadvantageous if you're trying to be stealthy. But if you're an Assar, you go for range. If you're a Carbon, you go for an ambush. You don't go for, like, straight-up stealth unless you're the Carbon and you're nearly dead anyways. And the Ochrist should be, like, hiding behind trees and whatnot, but that is that. And, oh yes, because we're now using race rather than the race score rather than the teams, we no longer have the issue that, you can't see the names of other players. Well, that you can see the names of other players whenever they're invisible. So that problem with the Carbon is now resolved. Hopefully the redstone connecting textures gets fixed soon. But that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed this continuing look at Races of the 4. I hope to have a functional version of this out for download in the very near future, but we'll see, because I'm enjoying explaining this to you guys and telling you what I'm going on. Suggestions and ideas in the comments, please, and I shall catch you all next time. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and or favorite, follow me on Twitter, and subscribe to be notified of future updates. You can also check out the website where most other content is uploaded. That's all for now, catch you later.